Okay, now we've got the Saturn graph over here. So we got our general idea of where she is with Saturn. I mean, you can do this faster, but by going back, we saw the angles were really active to disruptive relationships. And wow, that really what affected her sense of trust, her sense of importance. They were all disruptive at the angles from all the way through. Now Saturn's coming, it's sitting on the other angle. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Someone else isn't going to solve her out of this with Saturn on the ascendant. It's something she has to figure out. I can't stay here. I got to add something. That's how that tends to show. It's very useful when someone comes and gets their chart done between Saturn on from the 12th house all the way down to the IC, because they're really directing their study. It's one of the most potent points where you're planting seeds that really can make the difference for 30 years in their life. Okay, so our general drift from the Saturn, she's on the IC, it's going down into that quadrant. See, part of the problem when Saturn on the ascendant, for 15 years you've been living out in the world and thinking and strategizing and planning for where you fit in out in the world or don't fit in. By the time Saturn, you have to live differently, but you're still thinking in the old mode. And every time you try and act on the ideas of the old mode, it doesn't go as well as you expect it to be. And that is the frustrating place. Is, well, how do I get better? I can't just stay here. I have to add something new. I can't just rely on what I have been doing. Okay, so now we're going to look at the 8-year graph and try and see what comes up through this. A little bigger here. Okay. So let's see. Let's get the history here too. Really, we don't have really much for 2013. Many moves, many hopes, job loss, international move, January 2008. That's all we got. We don't have a lot of more personal information to fit into this. But take a look. Okay, the many moves, many things. But look at 2015 Pluto squared the moon. 2016 squared the moon, squared the moon, squared the moon, until 2017 squared the moon. These were blocks about family, home, where I'm living, fears, blocks, confrontation to life, home, health. So either if she's in a relationship, it would have been really harsh and she's not getting any affection, or she's not and wishing she was and wants to hold on to something that isn't giving her affection, is more. But there's a fear. Where am I living? What am I going to do? So in this point, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015, in her 40s, she's, is that right? Are we here? 30s. No, I won't say 75, 85, 95, 2005, 30, 40, 45, midlife. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so she's coming up to her midlife. And this whole 10 years is midlife, from midlife to menopause, like, what am I doing? And, but right now, Pluto square the moon, 2015, 2016, I'd be really questioning about that, because those were such pivotal things going on. Things about family, home, where am I going, what am I doing? Should we have blocks, whether it's something up with mom or dad or family coming up? They're not good things. They're threatening things. They're challenging her. So she's just said she kept moving, many moves, many homes, job loss. Well, she would keep being placed where I don't belong here. What am I doing here? You can see there was nothing making her feel secure or rooted. In fact, things would come up that would threaten her sense of security. 2015, 16, 17. And carried on into 18. But no more Pluto. No more Pluto. The Pluto thing is that the past came up as much as it could come up to 2017. Pluto hit the moon. So that was the square. So Pluto went a quarter way around her chart, finally got up to the point where it's squaring her moon. She starts with an opposition and builds up to a square. This is a main turning point of overcoming the fears and blocks of the past. Okay, in this period, I met her inside this period somewhere. We're getting into astrology, getting into things. So it's a very capable person, but didn't feel she fit in places. Didn't feel her feeling wasn't behind how she was living, wasn't actually supporting how she was thinking. But that's a psychological battle there. And she's come through it. So 2018, she decides, well, I'm going to another country. So she made an international move in 2018. Whoa. Now she's making another one coming back in 2019, but there's no more Pluto. Okay, Pluto's out of the pit, and nothing gets extreme. But at the same time as the Pluto, in 2015, Neptune squared the Mars, and just before that, for the year before, Neptune was opposing the Venus. So there was Neptune opposing the Venus in 2014 and 2015, implied confusing relationships and maybe codependent relationships or one-sided relationships. There was a lot of sorrow around what one expected, believing in someone that wasn't real. And then it hit the Mars through 2015, meaning people weren't living up to. She was either trying to do too much or not fitting in. So really likely it could have been an on and off relationship with someone that had really good qualities and really bad qualities. And it was hard. And where am I going to work? What am I going to Neptune, Mars? So it was confusing during these periods. But the Neptune lifted by 2016, but the Pluto to the moon hadn't. So it carried on. But now there's no more Neptune. The next Neptune comes in 2021 and 2022. It opposes the Mercury. So opposing the Mercury, you got to think for a second. She must know about writing. Having a permanent career is writing, which, you know, writing and teaching. I don't think writing by itself is it. Writing and teaching. Writing and having social significance. Having people appreciate, but writing and having people appreciate what she has to say, that's great. As long as she's saying things that she believes and she is meaningful to her. Okay, so so the Neptune to the Mercury, she doesn't have Neptune now. She hasn't been confused. She's been thinking fairly clearly going through this. But when Neptune hits Mercury, she's trying to do regular writing. That's the most spaced out time. The Mercury goes a little bit deceptive or confused or fuzzy. So if she set up things around writing right now, she's going to be writing all her life anyways. But she's an impulsive writer. She writes, then she burns on it, she goes on it. But it's going to be confused then. So either she could be writing with some sorrow or confusion. She could get involved in meditation and be trying to undo the mind and try and get some mystical insights and perceptions. That would be a positive use of Neptune. She could be involved in a social consciousness and start writing for a cause or writing about a cause and other people's problems and how to try and fix them and what was right or wrong. That would fire up her Mercury wonderfully. She could become fanatically involved in a cause. The weak spot would be she could get in a relationship with somebody, be telling her what to do, and she's trying to go along with it, afraid of letting it go, and it all becomes a very deceptive, dishonest relationship. So the challenge with Neptune is to keep things clear, simple, self-reliant, and honest. If it gets deceptive, it gets confusing. The deception and confusion will magnify in those years. So the voice saying, my plan is this, I should have this by such and such age, I should have this, I should have this. So she's going to feel, I don't have this, what I'm going to do. Like, she's not going to be able to rely on her mind exactly during 2021 and 2022 until this fog lifts. But it doesn't mean there's not a lot to learn. If she were going to write, if she was a writer, I'd be saying, write about sorrow, write about guilt, write about confusion, write about dependencies. And she could be studying and learning about them then. You know, like, but it's unlikely that there's some puzzle here with the Mercury that could interfere with having all the skills and not using them or misusing them or feeling stirred around it. But really, if it's directed to a socially conscious Neptune cause, Mercury in the 8th house, it's helping others, and she's writing about some cause and how to make things better, that would be a very good use of that Neptune to Mercury. So, okay, that's somewhat of a puzzle, but you still have one of the other things could come and distract it where she couldn't write. Okay, now, a big puzzle there. So we're still back in 2019 at the beginning. So we look at Uranus, when Pluto was squaring the moon and Neptune was squaring the Mars, well, Uranus was conjuncting the moon. So Pluto, I'm confronted, I'm moving out of here. Moon and Aries living out of here, move. Pluto and Neptune hit the Mars, Pluto hit the Sun, Uranus conjuncted the moon in 2016, beginning of end of 15, 16. I'm moving again, I'm getting out of here. So this idea of when something got confronting, move away from it, get away from it. She has that instinct of being independent and free, of breaking away. That went along fine until 2018, where 2018, it stabilized a bit, not so shocking in 2016, 17, but 2018, she made an international move. But then when she got there, the Uranus is going to be opposing her midheaven. So even though she made an international move, it wasn't stable. There were disruptions around work and disruptions around where she was through really from March, after she'd be there 3 or 4 months, and then the whole middle of the rest of the year would have been disruptive. And come December, she's deciding, I'm leaving this place, I'm coming back to Toronto or to Canada. And so, like, you can see that it wasn't so much stable there. Okay, so yeah, I know a few other things that aren't in there. I'm just embellishing a little bit, but I'm trying to hold mostly to what they reported. So then Uranus, January, she comes back to Canada. Boom, gets here. But the minute she gets here, the Uranus is still opposing her midheaven, so it's still not stable career-wise during the next 2 or 3 months. It's shocking. It's not, there's shocks. It's little jobs, changing jobs, jumping on, scrambling. That's more what it is. It's not a time when there's a stable home or stable job. Uranus opposed to midheaven. Okay, so she gets here. And then but it's a sudden change. So by the time she gets to May, that gets left behind and starts the shock. There's no shocks, no confusion, no power struggles or confrontations from the 3 other planets for half of 2019, all of 2020, and the first quarter of 2021 before the Neptune comes in. So this is good. These are the big interferences that are coming up. We're looking at it. We're seeing this. We're developing this texture. So I just do one planet across time, then they layer them on top of each other. Now Saturn in this whole picture is really a friend. It's where you're working. It depresses, but it forces you to work at something. They make an effort to improve something. So the first sign is depression. Then there's some effort made to do it. So look at 2015. Pluto was hitting the moon, Neptune was hitting the Mars, Neptune was hitting the Venus, Uranus was hitting the moon, and Saturn was squaring the sun and the Venus and opposing the Mars. So she wasn't very happy in 2015. Nothing was working, but she was having to face Saturn. She's having to be responsible, get some stability at the very same time as there was ever anything but stability around. With the Neptune was hitting the Venus and Mars and Pluto the moon at the same time as Saturn was hitting the sun and the Venus. I don't have what I want. I have to adjust my goals. I have to change things. Opposing the Mars, I can't do anything right now. So you see, she got herself out of a difficult situation. And then still there were the Pluto to the moon through 2016. No more Saturn in there, but then Saturn to Mercury. I got to work on my ideas. I got to do this. So she was writing a lot, but she's also trying to develop new strategies, the Mercury, new plans for where I'm going to be. It's trouble when you're smart, you think too many ways. Think at all the options. It's hard to be with that mutable Virgo. It's very analytical, very discriminating, but it can be, there can always be 3 or 4 ways to look at anything. At that point, as soon as the Mercury was going there, things aren't working. I'm not being listened. I'm not doing what I'm having trouble writing or whatever. Then Saturn hits the ascendant. And okay, something's wrong here. I think let me just check something. I just noticed something. That when I did the Saturn on the ascendant, and January 18, July, August 18, and then put 19. I think that's a mistake. It has to be just past this year. Get this. Yeah, that's not 2019. It's a typing error. That's November, December 2018. Okay, so on this Saturn graph, there's an error. Just by going over, I sensed it, but I just wasn't sure. So because there's too long of a gap between the July, August of 18 to October, November of 19. It should be 18. Okay, I was tired. I was trying to do all of these things. I'll get this ready for the class. So that's a typo. So it's fixed on this graph. So there's and the way we're doing it, the Saturn, and you pretty well get the main graph, main cycles. If there's a date, it'll stand out if it's wrong. When you get to the 8-year graph, you're tying it down, and you see here, Saturn hit the ascendant January, February, July, August, and then October, November of 2018. So she just had Saturn, the last hit of Saturn on her ascendant. And she made another international move. So she made an international move for Saturn on the ascendant. And then